This is the X's and O's. I'm Adam Jenkins. That's Alec Reed. We're talking about the Western Mustangs and their power run. Offensive coordinator Steve Snyder likes to go to this a lot, and it's safe to say it's a big part of their offense.
Was it a big part of their offense, or is it their entire offense, Adam? This really is the backbone of this Western Mustangs offense. Pulling guards, pulling tackles, getting lead blockers through holes. And in this case, they're actually going to pull the center. A design QB run here as their center pulls and kicks out the defensive end. And look at that gap right there for Chris Merchant to run through. He ends up bouncing it outside. A nice play by the defensive end to spin off. But look at how much room there is for Merchant to work. He gets downfield for a nice run. We're gonna get to these next few. Watches the guard or kicks him out. We get a fullback through the hole. And again, another instance, guard pulling, kicks out a man up through the hole, and a big hole. But what I really want to touch on here is the play action game. Because as you can see, exact same set and exact same look. We're gonna pull this guard here. Everything is gonna look like a run. And look what this does. Look at the linebackers. They are now down at the line of scrimmage. There's about 5 to 10 yards of free space for Merchant to throw the football. And it just really sets up their entire offense. This one falls incomplete, but as you can see how much room there is. Pulling guard, look at the gap to complete that pass. And realistically, Adam, this is what their entire offense is built around. And they really do a successful job of running the power run, which sets up their play action game.
Well, there you have it, the Western Mustangs power run. This has been the X's and O's.
I don't think you wanna know what I know. You don't really wanna know what I know. They don't wanna talk about what I know, but I can keep a secret with my eyes closed. Hey, jumping in, we been about the grind, oh. We don't do no talking like the mind show. I just had to hit you with the high note. I'm around to make the vine, oh. Only sleeping if you make the bed, only way. Why I fluff the pillow from my head right away. Might expose a few of you instead on the way, but all you do that for me on the reg. I don't think you wanna know what I know. You don't really wanna know what I know. They all wanna talk about what I know.
Win the football game from 26 yards out, right down the middle of the field. Final play of the Yates Cup. Ball is out, down, kicked, and good! The Laurier Golden Hawks come from behind in dramatic fashion to win the 109th Yates Cup, erasing a 21.
It has been 77 days since the Carleton Ravens and Queens Gales kicked off the 2017 OUA football season, and now we are down to the final two teams ready to battle for the Yates Cup once again. Hello, Ontario. My name is Adam Jenkins, and I'm very excited to welcome you to your home for the digital coverage of the 110th Yates Cup. This is Yates Cup Saturday. And throughout the afternoon, we will be joined by guests from across the world of Canadian University football. We will hear from our reporters live on location of the Yates Cup in London. We will get you the latest on the situation out east with Alan April of CTV and the Canadian University Sports Network. And of course, with me in studio is the 2015 Yates Cup champion himself, Alec Reed, who will help steward our coverage of today's championship game. As we are a digital show first, we encourage you to join the conversation on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube using the hashtag #YatesCup. And make sure you share this feed with your own networks on whatever platform you're tuning in to us today. Alec, it's safe to say that this is a matchup that many people expected to see, and to be honest, many fans that were neutral in the game of football were hoping to see. What can you make about this matchup, the rematch of the 109th Yates Cup?
Well, this is the heavyweight tilt we've been waiting for. It's sort of the prize fight that we've all been waiting for. And I think at the start of the end of the Yates Cup last year, we sort of predicted that this was going to be the outcome that we were going to have this year.
Well, Alec, it's you've been in this game. You know the situation. What are the players feeling right now?
Anxiety, I think, is the easiest way to put it. This is a really stressful situation, but I think you're just excited more than anything, and you just can't wait for that first snap.
All right, well, we're going to check out the highlights from last year's Yates Cup, and we're going to pick this one up late in the third quarter when the Mustangs were up by 1. Chris Merchant hands it off to Alex Taylor, who puts his team up 26-19, part of Western's 27 unanswered points. Halfway through the fourth, down by 21, Laurier goes for it on a 3rd and 18. Michael Neville airs it out deep for Brenton Hall, who brings it down. What a catch! Laurier would add another quick TD to make it a 1-score game. Now, less than 2 minutes left, the Golden Hawks D makes its mark.
Taylor, he dropped the football. Laurier's got it. Oh my goodness. Laurier football.
Nakasonyeka forces the fumble to give Laurier the great field possession to tie this thing up, and they did do just that with who else but Neville connecting with Curly Gittens Jr., who makes the grab with the defender all over him. Laurier would kick the extra point to tie, and the Laurier faithful, well, they're loving it. The Golden Hawks would get the ball back on the Western 47 with half a minute left in the game and put it in the hands of Lavondre Gordon, who takes it 32 yards and gives the Golden Hawks a shot to complete the historic comeback.
26 yards out, right down the middle of the field. Final play of the Yates Cup. Ball is out, down, kicked, and good! The Laurier Golden Hawks come from behind in dramatic fashion to win.
The largest fourth quarter comeback in Yates Cup history would give Laurier their 8th championship and the first since their repeat back in 2004-2005. And now when we look ahead to this season, Alec, you see 2 losses for the Laurier Golden Hawks, a perfect regular season for the Western Mustangs. And while the points for are in favor of the Mustangs, the Laurier offense is not one you can sleep on.
Absolutely. I think they are really underrated offense. You look at Michael Neville has the highest number of yards per game in the OUA, and you have Lavondre Gordon at running back, who also has over 100 yards per game. Let's throw into the fact that they also have the 2017 OUA MVP, Curly Gittens Jr., returning kicks and as a receiver for that offense.
Now let's focus today. We're still trying to figure out if it's going to be Neville playing or if it's going to be Arndt. Where are you leaning, Alec? What have you heard? What's the latest?
Well, according to Michael Faulds, which he said in the huddle with Mike Hogan, that he is 60-40 as to whether Michael Neville will play or not. But according to a few sources that we have, it is going to be Michael Neville. According to these sources, they say he is good to go, ready to play, and was expected to play last week. Had a bit of a hiccup midweek, but big advantage with Michael Neville playing today.
And assuming it is Neville, as all signs suggest it might be, what does that do for the Laurier Golden Hawks confidence-wise on offense?
Well, he's their leader. Emotionally, he's their leader. He's just an absolute master of the quarterback position. He really knows how to execute a game plan. He's not afraid to hand the ball off to Lavondre Gordon and allow him to flourish. But Michael Neville has a deep play, a deep throw ability that no one can match.
Well, you mentioned the deep throws, the aerial assault. We talked about it leading up to the game in our Road to the Yates Cup features, that they love the aerial assault, and they're lethal when they got on a roll, Alec.
Well, you look at Brenton Hall and Curly Gittens Jr., just absolutely phenomenal when the ball's in the air. And that's sort of the biggest thing with Michael Neville is they have just tons of receivers that can break plays open. And when you have that sort of confidence to throw a ball to a guy and say, hey, go get it for me, it makes everything a lot easier because you just have a confidence in your receivers. You can throw the ball to whoever you want, and that's exactly what Laurier does with their aerial attack.
Now, despite the fact they are the reigning Yates Cup champions, is it safe to say that they're still somehow the underdogs in this game?
I think that is absolutely fair to say. When you have a team like Western that's putting up 50 points a game and giving up only 13, I don't know how you can go against the Western Mustangs as the favorite in this game. They're 9-0. They are perfect so far in the season, but just like last year, they were the favorites in that game, and we saw what happened last year.
And one of the reasons for that, Alec, is the unbelievable backfield the Western Mustangs have. They have 3 guys who can run the ball, well, 2 primarily, but 3 of them who can really make a difference on the ground.
Well, Gregg Marshall compared it to the trio that he had when he was at McMaster, when Jesse Lumsden was his running back. But even look just last week, Trey Humes decided Trey Humes was going to be the feature back. 15 carries for 88 yards, and Cedric Joseph 10 carries, 4 touchdowns. They have 3 guys that they can hand the ball to off that they have a lot of confidence giving the ball to, and that really makes a huge difference.
Now, the offense is certainly one of the things that Western has going for them. Their defense, not much of a slouch either. We saw the volunteer Coach of the Year award go to their defensive coordinator. What can you say about this secondary?
Well, it's just the entire defense itself is a masterpiece. These guys are physically just more dominant than everyone else in the league, and that's exactly what Western does. They don't try and beat you with crazy schemes like maybe a McMaster does. They're very simple. They stick to their game plan. They stick to their guts, and they are just flat out better than most teams.
Well, those are a bit about the two teams, but the men that will lead the teams are Michael Faulds and Gregg Marshall, and here's a little bit more about them.
First and 10 now from the 36. Faulds under pressure, has to escape. Remember, working with one leg, going deep for JaVale. He made the catch inside the 35.
For years, they had success as coach and quarterback. Now, Michael Faulds has traded in the purple and silver for the purple and gold. It's time to meet the coaches. Michael Faulds, one of the best quarterbacks to compete in the history of Canadian University football, has made the move from calling the shots in the huddle to calling the shots for the Laurier Golden Hawks. Bringing a breadth of understanding about how to move the ball through the air, Faulds knows a thing or two about persistency and playing through pain. There may be no better example of that warrior-like tenacity than this unforgettable moment.
For the final play.
He can't even drop. He's going to get rid of it, though. Throw it, and it is incomplete. I'm not sure anyone lost here. We just ran out of time.
Faulds is the U Sports all-time passing leader and won 2 Yates Cups and 2 Yates Cup MVP awards as a player. As a coach, he is 13-3 since 2016 and has added a 3rd Yates Cup title and was recognized as the best head coach in the nation. But Faulds wouldn't have enjoyed nearly as much success without the mentorship of the legend, Gregg Marshall. When you talk about some of the sport's most prolific men, Gregg Marshall is right there in that conversation. He's a 3-time OUA Coach of the Year and has taken home 8 Yates Cup championships, including 4 in a row from 2000 to 2003. Not to mention, he owns an all-time record of 58-14. Each time that Michael Faulds and Gregg Marshall share a field, there is a buzz in the air that electrifies anyone present for the show. One day shy of exactly 1 year to the date, at the same venue tucked in the heart of London, these two football greats will go head-to-head once again. What will we have in store today? It's tough to know for sure, but if it's anything like last year, we're in for one amazing afternoon. The annual OUA Awards luncheon took place on Thursday, where all the major hardware except for one particular trophy named Yates was handed out in Burlington. After opening remarks from OUA Chief Executive Officer Gord Grace, MC Justin Dunk began the ceremony. First up was Western's defensive coordinator Paul Gleason, who took home the award for Volunteer Coach of the Year. Kevin Horton was recognized for the newly named Ken Green Football Officials Award of Merit. Waterloo QB Trey Ford was named Rookie of the Year. Kenny Onyeka of the Carleton Ravens won the JP Metros Award as Lineman of the Year. Jackson Bennett of the Ottawa Gee-Gees was the recipient of the President's Trophy as Stand-Up Defensive Player of the Year. After 2 straight winless seasons, Waterloo's Chris Bertoya was recognized as Coach of the Year following the Warriors' 4-4 finish this season. Western's Nick Vanden will represent the OUA as the conference's nominee for the Russ Jackson Award. And the OUA's regular season MVP is Laurier's Curly Gittens Jr. It's the first time a wide receiver has won the award since McMaster's Mike DeCroce in 2011. Before the afternoon wrapped up, the two head coaches took to the stage to chat about today's game. It's always cool to see these two OUA greats share their football wisdom. Congratulations to all All-Stars and Major Award winners. Isaiah Boko is an African Canadian who was born into a tough neighborhood in the Congo. When he was 8 years old, his family dropped everything and moved to Canada as refugees. While their lives were significantly improved in their new nation, Isaiah, who also goes by Easy, found himself in another rough neighborhood, this time in London, Ontario. In middle school, he stumbled into a game that would change his life forever and set him on a new path. That game was football. Here's his story as told by Nico Canavo, Connor Nickel-Penman, and Usama Farouk. Enjoy.
I'm Isaiah Boko, known Easy Boko, and I go to school and I play football here. I was born in the Congo, pretty rough area, but yeah, like I was born there and I left when I was like 9 years old. We were refugees, obviously. Came to Canada 2006, 2005-ish. I lived in a pretty aggressive neighborhood in London, but my mom kind of like, she protected me and my brothers and sisters away from that. Since 5th grade, I'd seen kids, you know, playing football at recess. You know, I thought it was pretty stupid. I'm like, why are they just throwing the ball and like trying to kill each other? I picked up the ball and like, you know, I threw it. I guess I threw a spiral, and for some reason I was like, okay, that's pretty cool, but.
I just happened to see this football just sailing perfectly by and landing perfectly into this other little guy's hand, and it was just an incredible because it was just like packed schoolyard, and this football is flying by perfectly. So I asked the kids, who threw the football? And I think they thought that they were ratting out on somebody, so they're a little hesitant. And then finally I saw it go by again. I gotta go talk to this little guy. How'd
you learn how to throw the ball like that? I was like, I don't know, man, I just threw it. But and he goes, yeah, like for a kid your age, like it's pretty far to throw. I was like, all right.
I'm Morris Brennan. I'm a school social worker. Isaiah lives with us. I don't know how to explain it to us. He's our son.
I'm Elaine Brennan, Isaiah's Canadian mom.
I was with him literally every summer, and he learned my story, you know, coming from Africa and like, you know, losing my father at a young age. And we just grew that relationship. And then in 9th grade, I was getting in a lot of trouble in London, just from like not listening to teachers and whatever. So it got to a point where, you know,
if you were to ask many people, they wouldn't have even thought he'd graduate from high school.
I was about to get kicked out of school, and he basically was like, you know, you can come live with me and go to a different school. And in order to do that, I think legally, you know, my mom had to sign me off to another family, so he became a legal guardian and my adoptive dad. I'm just very thankful that they took me in, because without them, I would not be here today. I'd probably be somewhere in London doing no good.
It was when he came to live with us, he was given a second chance. I mean, things at his first high school had gone south, and you know, so he came here, he had a fresh start, you know, and he took it, he embraced it.
He had pretty strict boundaries, but I didn't like them at first, but you know, looking back now, you know, they make a lot of sense. He just made me grow up a lot faster. He's pretty strict, but he was good strict. He never put me down, but like whenever I'd screw up, you know, he'd make sure that, you know, I own up to it. He's my hero. I look up to him a lot.
You've got to make that decision. Get back up. The same with life. We're all going to get knocked down. You got to get back up.
When I came up MAG in 2014, it was tough on me mentally because I had to grow up fast. You know, I couldn't depend on like, you know, on just being, you know, athletically better than everyone.
You know, and if you really take a look at it, that's exactly what Isaiah's life has been. He's always, he's a gifted athlete, certainly, but he's had a lot of knockdowns too. But he always gets back up.
I think it's just an innate quality that he has, like he just won't stop.
I'm very thankful. They really saved my life, yeah.
Earlier today, our reporter at the field, Jack Moore, and CUSN's very own, got a chance to catch up with Laurier quarterback Michael Neville. Here's what he had to say.
Who's the starting quarterback of the Laurier Golden Hawks for the 110th Yates Cup. Michael, last year you guys were in this game. How does it feel to be back on the field after you've sat out for 4 weeks this season?
It feels great. I'm really excited to be back out. Tristan really did a good job stepping in there, and I'm just excited to get back out here with my team.
So you guys are back at the spot where you won the Yates Cup last season, the 109th Yates Cup, where you had the big fourth quarter comeback to win the game 43-40 in regulation. How does it feel to be back on this field, and does it bring back any memories from last year?
Yeah, obviously we don't forget last year's game, but we're not really focusing on that this week. We're just focusing on the 2017 Laurier Golden Hawks, and we're hoping we can repeat what we did last year.
Do you feel like your team's ready to go today?
Yes, I do. I think we're very excited and very confident today.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Jack. Great to hear from a QB ahead of the big game. And next up, we're going to hear from Nick Vannon. Alec, he was the OUA's nominee for the Russ Jackson Award. What can you tell me about the importance of such a prestigious award?
Well, I think that award means a lot because it really is the combination of academics, volunteer experience, and play on the field. It's a really important award.
Well, here he is with our own Julia Cheshire live in London.
Here with Western starting linebacker. Now, you played in this game last year. You were here. Tell me a little bit about what this game means to you.
There's not many chances in life when you get to directly make up for mistakes. And, even though it's not the exact same team, a lot of us were on that field, and we're excited. You know what I mean? Real excited.
Absolutely. Does that emotion, do you think it'll drive you to come and win today?
I think it's important to, look at it as a new game. We have that motivation, but with big games like this, you can't get too high, you can't get too low, and trying to stay even keel throughout the whole game. So.
Absolutely. Now, you just won the Russ Jackson Award for the OUA, a real testament to your character. How much did that mean to you?
It meant a lot. You don't do things like volunteer work for awards, but it's really nice to get recognized for it. With that being said, and it's a long line of guys that have outstanding character, so it's great to be mentioned in that line.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Okay, we're 2 minutes away from kickoff here. It's time for the big question. Who do you have winning the 110th Yates Cup and why?
Well, I'm going to go with my same prediction that I had last season. The Western Mustangs, I'm going to predict, are going to win the Yates Cup. I think they are the better defensive team, the better offensive team. I really think that the Western Mustangs are going to win the Yates Cup for the first time, having lost it the last 2 years.
Well, I was just about to ask you that, Alec. Do you think that weighs in the minds at all as much as they try and say it's not there?
Well, you try to block it out, but I think if things start to spiral like they did last year, that's going to creep back into your mind. You'll be like, well, we had the lead last year. I think we might blow it again. And you try and block out those feelings, but it's something that does seem to creep into the minds of people, and it really is tough to escape that once it starts getting into your head.
All right, I'm going to go with you there, Alec. I think the Western Mustangs, I called it last week in my predictions. I think they're going all the way, just too strong at home, and I think there is no way that they allow themselves to drop another one that they very clearly had last year. It's going to be a great game either way. So at this point, it's time to turn it over to the CHCH broadcast of the game. It's Mark Lee and Justin Dunk with the call. We'll be back here at halftime, and we invite you to ask your questions on Twitter, Facebook, and other social media platforms. Hashtag Yates Cup, hashtag Ask Alec. We'll try and answer as many of those as possible when halftime rolls around. But for now, it's time to say goodbye, and just like you, Alec and I are going to enjoy the ball game. We'll talk to you very soon, right here on Yates Cup Saturday. Well, welcome back inside our Yates Cup Saturday studios. My name is Adam Jenkins, and with me is Alec Reed. Wow, what can you say? Not what we were expecting. We expected some dominance from the Western Mustangs, but to have 43 points in the first half, I don't think either of us were prepared for that.
No, and I don't think Laurier was prepared for that at all. 43 points and a half is unbelievable when you consider we thought they dominated Guelph last week, Adam. They put up 66 in the entire game. They put up 43 in one half. That's unbelievable.
We're going to break down the half a little bit deeper throughout these next 15 minutes or so. But Alec, I want to quickly ask you your thoughts. After the first quarter, It was a very close game. They were trading shot for shot. What happened? What switch was Western able to hit that just took them to a whole new level?
Well, I don't know if it was one particular thing. It just seemed like they were doing everything a lot better. And I think the biggest thing for them was they just started giving the ball to a guy like Cedric Joseph. And he really was able to break that game open. You mentioned a few kick returns, but I think the biggest thing was they're averaging 10.7 yards per carry on the ground. You give the ball to a guy like Cedric Joseph, and he just makes plays. You know, he bounces off of tackles. We saw on the first touchdown run there, and he just finds ways to create more than what he should get. Laurier has done a good job of bottling him up at the line of scrimmage, but you watch him just break off these extra runs. And when you talk about this Western offense, we talked about how there was a plethora of running backs and there was going to be multiple guys touching the ball, but it's been Cedric Joseph. He's the only running back to touch the ball right now, Chris Merchant being the other ball carrier, but he's just finding ways to get into space and really make a lot of big things happen. So I'm really impressed with the way that Cedric Joseph has been playing so far today.
Well, while Western has been impressive on the ground, Laurier, as I mentioned, was there for a little while. You can never count them out, but they've shown that, speaking of keeping an eye on, Jack Moore and Julie Teixeira have been live on location, trying to stay as warm as possible.
Both quarterbacks performing really well that first half. Merchant running the ball really well, and Neville throwing absolute bombs. Tell me about their impact.
Yeah, well, Chris Merchant has done a great job at finding open seams, not only in the Laurier secondary, but also in the running lanes when he's dropping back to throw. One thing that he's doing really well is hitting that field side against Christian Hutter-Coppin, who is in for Ron Kinga, who has a broken arm in this game. So Western doing a really good job of attacking the young second-year
Pavlich. For Julia Teixeira, Jack Moore, Alan April, my co-host Alec Reed, my name is Adam Jenkins. We hope you enjoy the rest of the ball game here for the 110th Yates Cup.